What I would like to do here is to model this bad boy right here. And this is a Buick GSX 1970. It's a GSX 455. That's what it is. And this is for a larger project that I'm working on. And I'll tell you more about that as we go here. But let's go ahead and get to work. Let me make sure that we are actually live here. Yes, we are. Good to see you. And let's go over into Photoshop and see if we can cut this out so we have our reference images. The reference images I'm going to need are the side here, the top, the front. I'll probably use the back some, but not a whole lot. I've got some good 3/4 images that I can use here. So let's start cutting this out. I'm just going to use the marquee tool here in Photoshop and just drag and grab this right here and copy that, and I'll just create a new document and paste it right in here. Now this is pretty small. I'm hoping this works. I think it will. It's a little bit pixelated, but I think it's just enough information that it's going to be fine once I bring it into Blender. Now you may be wondering, where did I get these orthographic views, these blueprints? Well, I got them over at theblueprints.com. If you haven't been to this site, this is a 3D modeler's dream. It's got orthographic views of almost every vehicle out there. What I did is I just typed in Buick, what a GSX, there it was, and 455, there it is. And they have both free versions and they have paid versions. So this is the vector drawing that you can pay for, and it's just higher resolution, cleaner, it's color. I went ahead and grabbed this one here because, well, it's free. And if you want to follow along, you can just come here and download this, and you're on your way. So that's where I got these images here. Now that I've got the side view, let me come back over here and let's grab the front view now. I'll grab the front view here and put this over here. There we go. So that looks pretty good. Let me reduce the opacity here just to make sure that our tires are lined up pretty well here. I want these tires here on the bottom to be pretty well aligned. I'm going to click up here and drag and see if I can pull a guide down. I'll line it up with those bottom tires, and that tells me that those top tires need to come up some. So I'll just nudge those up a little bit like that. There we go. Now it looks like it's just a tiny bit bigger. So maybe I'll shrink it down just a hair like that. Get those tires on the line, and that looks like it's in line pretty well with the top of the car there. All right. So let's take that in to Blender like that. So let's take this one into Blender and that one. What else do we need? We need this top one, but the problem with the top one, I think it's going to have to be turned, and I'm not sure which way, but I think it's going to have to be turned so the nose is facing down. Let's try it. Let's go ahead and try it while we're here. I'm going to grab this and just, let's try this. I'm going to copy this, open a new document, and paste it. And then I'm going to spin this around 90 degrees clockwise. Let's try that. All right, so I've got these different views now that I want to bring into Blender. I'll go ahead and save these out. And I'll save them as a JPEG just so they'll be small. And I'll export them out to my drive here. Now, you're probably wondering, what is all this? Why is Darren live streaming? Well, part of what I want to do here, let me create a new folder real quick. I didn't spell that right. I'll call this side view. Part of what I'm doing here is trying to keep myself on track with a project I want to do. I've got a project in my head that I want to accomplish, that I want to do. I'm going to save this out. And it's kind of a 3D motion comic, or at least that's what I'm calling it. I don't exactly know what else to call it. And I have a story that I wrote a long time ago. And it's kind of in comic book form, and it's kind of a comic book story. But I love Blender, and I want to use Blender in some way in this. So what I'm thinking is that I will create the assets in Blender. I will render it real time out of a game engine, either Unity or Unreal. I'm not sure which yet. And with those, I will then create a motion comic that you can kind of see on that you can see on YouTube. I've already recorded the narration for from all the actors. So instead of seeing speech bubbles, you would see you would hear the audio from the actors. Let me name this here. Top view. And it's almost as if, I think, as you're watching it, you're hearing what they're saying, but you're seeing like a wax museum still image of them, and yet the camera can still move through it. I don't know if that makes any sense at all, and I'm not sure that I'm going to be able to do it, but that's what I want to do. I know, it's crazy. But that's where I'm going. And my point to all this is that I'd like a regular time to work on all this. That's what I hope this is. So let me bring in those images here. I'm going to go to Add Image, and I want to bring the first one into the right view and open here. Let me go find it. It would be over here and in my misspelled folder here. Okay, now I can't see it, of course, because I've put it in the right view and I'm not in the right view. So I'll hit the 3 key and the 5 key, and there it is. So now I think I want it to be bigger. I think let's come into the size here. Let me bring that out like that. And let me try the size at 20. Yeah, I think that'll work. Yeah, okay. And then I'm going to bring it up in the Y. I'm just going to click and drag here in the Y and then press Shift to kind of make it go a little slower, and there we go. So now I've got my side view in my viewport with the tires on the grid there. That's going to work out okay. Let's go back and get that other one. Let's go over here to Photoshop. No, I've already exported those, haven't I? So let's go ahead and bring in another one. Let's do the front view, right? That's the other one I did. Here we go, front view, open, and let's go find it again. Here we are. All right. Now the front view would be the 1 key. There it is. And I will bring this up as well in the Y. Bring that up. Oh, I need to put the size at 20. I increased that a bit, didn't I? And let's bring that down or up. There it is, right there. All right. All right, let's see how I'm doing here. I'm trying to bring up, there we go. Okay, Someone just asked, is this live? Yes, it is live. So it's something new. Something new I'm trying here. Let's see how we do. All right, so I've got the front view and the side view. Now that top view. This is the thing I need to understand real quick about how that top view is going to come in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a cube, and I'm going to just bring it up and scale it in the Y just so I can see. All right, so there is that. This over here is the front, right? So I'm going to select that face, and as I tumble around, I know now that that is the front face. I'm going to scale that out to say that that's the back. Now, if I hit 7 and 5, sure enough, our top view needs to be going down. Okay, so now I know that, so I think it's going to work all right. So let's try this. I will bring in that top view here, top, and I'll bring in that image. Where is it? Here it is. And let's give this a try. Now, it may, I should have not deleted that quite yet, but I think I can do it. Here we go. So that's how big it is. Let's bring in that image now. Should be there. All I'm trying to do is just make sure I get the top image in the right place and at the right size. That's all I'm doing here. So now you can see that I put this in, so this is the size of the car, right? If I switch to the side view, this is the size. Let me scale it up just a little bit, like that. Now I know that that's the size I need for the car. So I'll use my scale once again here. My size to bring this down a little bit and move this up and down. That's pretty good. And then I need to get this down the center as well. So I'm going to move it over in the X just a little bit. There we go. That's looking okay. Now, all right. It looks like, let me see, I'm just taking a look at my screen that you guys are seeing here. And it looks like it's off. It looks like it's, does it look a little off the screen to you here? Kind of does to me. Wonder why that is. All right, let me just try and adjust that. I'm going to come in here and try and adjust it. So I will be right back. Hey, I'm still new with this, so I'll be... I think I got it. I think I got it. Okay. So now, let's give this a try. Where was I? Bringing in those images. Let's keep doing that. I think I've got them all in here. Yes. All right, and I can go ahead and delete that object. And now let's go to the front view. That's good. I want the front view to be less opaque. So I'll bring the opacity down to maybe 0.2 for all of these. Let's do that for all of these. 0.2 here. And let's do 0.2 over here. All right. We did it. Now I think we're ready to roll. So, how to begin? How to begin on a car or any kind of vehicle like this. The good thing about a vehicle or car is that it's mainly symmetrical, which means you can model this in pretty much the same way as you can a human head, using edge modeling. And if you've seen my YouTube videos creating characters, then you probably know that I'll begin with just a polygon plane and extrude the edges from that. And that's pretty much what I'm going to do here. So, but where to begin? I think what I'll do is I'll begin with the hood. Let's work on that. So, I think if I press Control-Alt-Q, I get my quad view here. I'll hit the T key to get rid of that. And now I can see all of my views at the same time. And at least for a while, I'm going to start with this. I think I'll press Shift-A and bring in a polygon plane. And there it is, right in the middle. I'll press Control-Up arrow to give me that full screen. And also, I think what I want to do is mirror this. I want to just model one side of the car. So I'm going to tab into Edit Mode, go to Control-R, and just insert an edge loop right down the center. I'll also delete this face right here. All right, so now let's move this down to the hood, shrink it down a bit, and maybe I will just go to the top view here for now like this. Let's begin working like this. And what I'm going to try and do is just use this polygon to begin modeling out like this and then forward down the hood. Okay? So let's give that a try. I'm going to hit E and click and then drag out to here. E like that, and maybe one more. Oh no, it goes all the way over to here. So I will E over to here. Something like that. All right. Now it's just perfectly flat. So if we look at it from this side, you can see it's just sitting on the bottom of the grid. So we need to move it up as well. Something like that. And maybe even tilt it down a bit. Rotate it just a hair like that. So it kind of fits on the hood there. And then I'm also going to need to select those edges and kind of bend them around the hood. All right, so let's go back to the quad view. And if we look at it here, we can see it needs to be bent down a bit. All right, so I'm going to take this and get it down. And it looks like my top view isn't quite as big as I need it to be. I can always adjust that. And I'm just going to try and get the basic shape of this hood. Oh, well, my problem here is that my front view isn't aligned straight down the center. There you go. Well, that would be handy if I would do that. Let's give that a try. I will go back to my background images, and for the front view, let's move it in the X just a bit. Something like... Nope, wrong way. There we go. That's pretty well down the center. That's what I needed. So now I can move this back to where it should be. There we go. All right. Good. Now let's select these edges in the front. Go back to our quad view and start moving them down a bit. So I'll hit E and Y and move them forward. Yeah, that looks pretty good. I'll hit E and Y again and move them forward. And maybe this can come down just a hair. And it almost looks like this could come up just a bit, like that. So I'm just trying to keep an eye on all the views as I go. And E and Y. There we go. EY. So let's keep going on down the hood of the car here. Now, you may be wondering if I'm going to be going or taking this into a game engine. You may be asking, isn't that too many polygons? Well, for an interactive game, you may be correct. But for this particular project, I'm going to be using the real-time render engine of a game while still rendering it out as if it's an animation. So I'm kind of cheating. Not cheating. Trying something new. Honestly, I don't know that it's going to work. But it'll be like creating a cinematic, I think. That's kind of what I'm going for. All right, so let's take a look at this line right here. I almost feel like I didn't get... Yeah, see, I need to work on the curvature of the thing. I didn't keep an eye on the side view here now, did I? So I'm going to begin bringing this down like this. And I'm just hitting Alt and clicking an edge in the top view here and then bringing them down in the side view. Something like that. All right. So it could be that you guys have a few questions for me, like, what are you doing? What's going on? Let me take a look at the chat here and see if I can find any questions to answer. Tommy says texture painting. Well, not right now. Ultimately, we will hopefully texture this. My plan is to use Photoshop and Substance Painter to texture this. What's the model going to be used for? That's from Mindstreamer. Well, I don't fully understand it either, so I understand that you may have some questions. What I'm trying to do here is I've got a story I want to tell. And what I want to do is use Blender to create all the assets, but use a game engine to create or to render out in real time each of the shots. So I kind of am using both technologies, both worlds, but not in exactly a game-specific way. So it's almost like I'm going to be making a cutscene. And I'm still trying to figure out whether I'm going to be using Unity or Unreal. If you saw my last course that I did on Blender 101 over here, I did a creating a game environment course. And what that was basically creating a scene, creating an apartment scene that is going to be part of this project. So this is going to be a scene where the two main characters live. Oh, great. I got an error on my own website. Fantastic. That makes me feel really good. So I'm going to need to check that out. Let me log in again here. But that's what that course was. Wow. Well, you know what? I may be pulling too much bandwidth. I may not be able to get to it from where I am right now. I'm not sure. I will go back and take a look at that because it was working this morning. My apologies. But that's the course I created, and that whole course kind of chronicles the making of one of the scenes of this project. This car is another asset within this project. So I don't know if that makes any sense. Yes, why use Photoshop and Substance Painter when there are so many free options? You are correct. Krita is fantastic, but it doesn't yet work on a Mac. I'm sorry, it doesn't. It's in beta or whatever, but as soon as Krita works on a Mac, I'm back on it. GIMP is really good, but it runs slow for me. Substance Painter and Quixel are great PBR tools, photorealistic or physically based renderers. And Blender is about to jump into that world in version 2.8. So once Blender gets into the PBR world, and once Krita comes out, those will be more of an option. So that's kind of why I'm doing this. And it's kind of my own personal project. So what I'm doing here is really kind of chaotic and messy compared to the more structured, organized courses that I've created previously on YouTube and on Blender 101. So it's a little bit different thing. I don't know if that helps. All right. Well, I'm gonna get back to work. Thank you for your questions. I will come back to them, and let's do a little more tweaking on our fender here. I'm gonna bring this back in and I think I can get this lined up pretty well right in here. All right. I'm going to go ahead and leave that as is for now. It's very blocky and kind of not looking great, but the good thing is I can go on and keep working on other parts, and I like to kind of block in all the major big parts of an asset, of a project like this, and then go back and begin tweaking them and begin refining them. Excuse me. Once everything is in place. So let's go on and work on one of these fenders over here. How about this guy here? I can continue on from this, I think, and then split it off. So I'll grab this edge here and hit E and move it out a bit. Give it a little bit more space, a little more breathing room there. And I can take this and move it back some. Try and align these a little better. There we go. And I'll take this and extrude it out one more time to the edge of there like that. I think this can come down a bit. There we go. And this maybe even come up a bit. So now I need to start aligning these a little better. So back to that top view here. And let's get these in line. Yeah. There we go. So as I said, this is going to be a little bit more open-ended, a little more chaotic, not quite as structured as my other videos. Just kind of more of a project-based work where hopefully you can drop in and see what I'm doing, maybe ask a few questions, maybe give me some advice, because sometimes I don't know exactly how to do things, and sometimes I need some help with that. So let me undo these and bring this down just a hair like this. And once I get all of this in, I'll be able to go back and mold these points a little better. And I'll be able to take a look at these photographs and three-dimensional views and get the lines on the car a little better. I used to have, a long time ago, I used to have a 1966 convertible Mustang, silver blue with a white top. It was simply awesome, and I got rid of it. I got rid of it so that I'd have the money to move to Los Angeles. Why, oh why? Why did I do that? If you haven't guessed, I'm not in Los Angeles anymore. It was not for me. But that was a long time ago. But oh, I loved that car. And now that we aren't in Los Angeles, it pains me to think that that's why I sold that thing. It's a beautiful car. It wasn't a 289. It was a straight 6. But man, it was a pretty car. So this is a 1970, so about that era. All right, so now what I'm going to do is go back to my quad view here, and I'm going to think about coming down and curving around this fender. So I'm going to hit E, and I'm going to bring this down and out just a bit like this. Kind of bring this out like that. Trying to follow the line in the front view and in the top view and in the side view. Keeping an eye on everything here. And then I'm going to begin kind of moving points around to get the shape of the fender here. I sold a lot of things to go to LA, I have to admit. I sold a drum set, a beautiful candy apple red pearl drum set. Kind of makes me mad now. So if any of you are in Los Angeles or are hoping to go to Los Angeles, please, no offense meant whatsoever. It just was not for me by any means. All right, so now I'm going to take this edge and I'm going to scale it in the Z-axis. I'm going to hit S and then Z, and that'll scale it in the Z-axis and kind of flatten it up. See how it kind of flattens that up just a bit? Kind of like that. There we go. And maybe I'll scale it in the Y just to bring those in just a bit. All right. So now I'm going to hit E to extrude again and pull that down. I think I need to pull it out a bit still. So I'm just trying to watch all of my viewports, everything at once, and just make sure I get at least for this initial pass, get the general shape. There we go. All right, so now I'm going to take these and let me hit Control-Alt-Q, the 3 key to go to the side view again. And now I'm just going to begin shaping these just a little bit and bringing these down some. And then I'll extrude these down a little more. Yeah, there we go. So I might just bring this over here like this and leave this part there and just begin from here. So if I select this point and press Control and click to this point, it'll select everything in between those 2 points. But now that I think about it, I don't really want all of them. I just want these. So I'll hit E and bring these down a bit. And I need to bring that out like that. This down like this. And let's go take a look at it in the quad view. Make sure we're keeping in line with our reference images on the top and on the front. I think so. I think we're doing okay. It looks like these kind of bend back in just a little bit. All right. Grab these edges. And this time I think I'm just going to grab these 2 edges. Let me try this. Let me extrude, bring these straight down to there. Now I might be able to grab that point and just bring it in like this. That might work. We'll see in the future if it's going to work or not. Something like this. There we go. So we have a little bit more of a curve there. And then these 2, I'll scale in the Z to flatten them up, extrude, Z, and I'll go ahead and bring them all the way down to here. And scale those in a bit. All right. Now, hopefully, when I'm going to go ahead and put these as a recording on my YouTube channel, so hopefully people will be able to watch them there. And from what I hear, my videos are great at 1.5 speed, so feel free to do that when they're archived as recordings. I'm perfectly fine with that. Whatever helps. All right, let me bring this down. There we go. All right. There we go. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Let me bring that in just a hair. So now you can kind of begin to see the shape of the car coming together there. But we only have one side, and that's fine. What we can do is select this object, and with the cursor still in the center of the grid here, we can go ahead and add a mirror modifier. So I'll add a modifier, mirror, and in the x-axis, and there we go. So now we're beginning to see that shape of the hood and the fender there, and we can come over here to the Tools tab, go ahead and smooth it a bit. Yeah. So we've got more to do, of course, to round out these fenders and align everything a little bit better, but we're getting there. Okay. So let's go ahead and work on the door now. Let's work on that. I'm going to select just those edges, I think, that I need here. And then let me go back to that quad view. Here we go. So let's take a look at the door. Now the door looks like I need to grab that edge there too. And what I'll be doing here, let me actually go ahead and do this now real quick. If I select this edge, I can split this edge out with Control E and Edge Split. So now those are two different objects, or two different pieces. You can see the seam now in there. And I will split those apart and extrude a little edge to them so they fit right up against each other. So that's what I'll be doing with those kinds of seams. And I'll be doing that with the doors as well. But let's go ahead and think about these edges here, extruding these edges back right here. There we go. All right, so I need to keep my eye once again on all of these views as I go. I'll hit E and let's move it back. Looks okay, I think. I think I'll probably scale it in the Y, so SY, like this. And E again in the Y. There we go. And I'll hit S and Y to flatten that out a little bit more like that. So I'm just, as I'm going, I'm beginning to flatten out those edges just a bit. E and Y. Oops. No, not E and Y. There we go. Let's do S and Y. There we go. So that you see how this edge here is so much straighter and even curved the other way as opposed to this edge here where we began. So that's why I'm doing that S and Y to flatten it up. Now it looks like I could even scale in the Z just a tad. I'll hit the shift key to go really slow there and bring that down, and I'll do the same thing here. It looks like it tapers down just a bit, so S and Z, yeah, something like that. There we go. Yeah, a little bit more. Okay. And how about up here? Oh, it looks like I need to bring these in a bit now, doesn't it? Okay. Let me bring these in a smidge like this, and S and X to scale in like that. Yeah, there we go. How we doing here? Oh, I could bring that in just a hair. Okay, good. Keep going. E, Y, S, Y, so it's nice and flat there. S and X up here in the top view and move it in the X just a bit so it just kind of angles in just a hair. And then move this down a smidge. Extrude this out one more time to here. I'm going to try S and Y again and get it to kind of curve just a little bit. See how that, you can curve it just a bit. There we go. And maybe one more. And now if I hit S and Y and really curve it in just like that. There we go. That's pretty well aligned, I think. All right, so we got to the door. Let me move that back just a bit. And these up just a hair. All right. Look at that. So we're beginning to get that, the fender and the door there. So now I'll take this edge right here, and once again I'll split it with Control E and edge split. And now you can see we've got a seam there. And once again I'll clean those up a little bit later, but you can see if I hover over each of these parts and press the L key, I can choose each individually, and that'll be helpful as we go, especially when we're UV mapping. All right, let's see what other questions or comments or what else is going on out there. Oh, in terms of how long do you think it would take to complete the whole car? Well, the whole car would probably take 20 to 40 hours. I'm not going to do it all today. I can promise you that. But if we did all of the interior and everything, it would probably take 40 hours. But all I need is the exterior, and I need the trunk to open, because I know there's a scene or a shot in the project and is going to require the trunk to open. So I do know I'll need that. I'm not seeing any questions off the top of my head or off the chat quite yet. Oh, how long have I learned Blender for? Wow. Or how long have I been using Blender? That is a really good question. I'm not sure. I began using 3D, doing 3D modeling in the mid 90s with Newtek's Lightwave, like version 2 or something, 1 or 2. And then I got back into it in the early 2000s with Lightwave 7, I think. And then very early on there in the 2000s, I jumped into Blender. I used 3ds Max for a while, and then I went to Blender, and then I went to Maya, and then I went back to Blender. So I feel like Blender is kind of my home. So I've been using Blender for probably over 10 years. So wait a minute. 2 days of live session. When I say 20 to 40 hours, I don't mean I'm going to do it all at once. So maybe we'll do an hour-long live session here, an hour-long live session there, and we'll kind of build it over time. But I don't think we'll do 2 hours of streaming here, or 2 days of streaming here in a row. Although that would kind of be, that'd be fun. Anybody else? Are you still teaching, or are you doing this and Blender 101 full time? I am doing this, Blender 101, and some freelance work full time. I used to teach at the college level for about 5 or 6 years, and I am now doing this on my own. The problem that I had with teaching was that I never got to do anything. I only got to talk. Whereas with what I'm doing here with you guys, I get to actually make stuff. And that is, I don't know, that's a lot more fun to me. I like making stuff. So, all right, I am going to get back to work here and see if I can finish this back fender before we call this particular session done. Let me bring all my views into place here, and let's start extruding back now from here to that back fender. Let me spin around back here. There we go. All right, here we go. I'm going to keep on going back. Now, let me ask you this. Do you guys see a similarity between this and character modeling? Do you see what I'm talking about how it's very similar in that it's symmetrical and you're just edge modeling your way back? Now, yes, there are other ways to do this. Please don't think that I am suggesting that this is the only way that you can create a car, or the way I create characters is the only way to create characters. That is certainly not the case at all. But my point is, do you see how if you're edge modeling a character, how those edge modeling techniques can carry over into modeling all kinds of things like vehicles and things like that. Once you get going on this kind of modeling, it's kind of amazing how many things it can apply to. All right, so let me grab this right here. No, I don't need all of that. I'm just going to select this point and then once again control click this point. And no, maybe I'll just try these right here. I'll hit E and pull these back like that for now, and this can maybe, is that going to be too much? That's going to be too much. Let me try this again. I will bring these forward like that. Yeah, that's a little bit better. All right. There we go. Now I'll take these and bring these forward, or back I should say. And I'm going to go ahead and try and follow this line here, I think. It's difficult to see here, but it kind of flows down like that. I think this line is going to help me get there. I'll kind of follow that. So if I extrude back a little bit more, and maybe bring these down a hair, like so. All right. Almost there now. I'm going to keep bringing these down some. All right. I'm going to try and get these polygons a little bit better aligned so that they're a little bit more evenly spaced. So I'll work on that in a little bit. I'm not real pleased with this, the way it looks right now, but that's okay. I'll survive, at least for a little bit here. All right, move this back. Down a bit. And now I think I'm going to need to extrude this down a bit. So I'm going to need to take this down right here, extrude, and move this point into place along the fender, and then now I've got more to work with here. Like so, and once again I'll need to take this edge straight down like this. I'll go ahead and just go all the way down like that. Like this. Now I've got this. It's kind of a mess. I'm kind of moving quickly, but I think it's going to work here. It's going to take a little bit of, what's it going to take? It's going to take point pulling. Yes, I said it again. It's going to take lots of point pulling. All right. Grab this, extrude this back, and now I can scale it in the Z and a little bit in the X, because this needs to come in. So SZ, scale in the Z, and put that into place. And then over here, I'll scale in the X with S and X, kind of flatten that out a little bit. So you can see how I'm doing this. I'm just going edge by edge, trying to keep all of my views in mind, in my head as I go, and trying to get a sense of this whole thing in 3 dimensions. So you can begin to see it coming together here, right? And that's the wonders of mirroring, is you only need to do one side. All right, so let me bring these together a little more, like this. All right, here we go. Extrude. Now let's scale in the Z. And scale in the X over here to kind of flatten that out. Because you can see how it kind of flattens out here. It's at an angle here. I gotta keep that in mind, that when we get down here, these angle in and out more. So it angles, there's this kind of point along here, along the middle, that kind of is pulled out and then angles back behind the tire. So I got to remember that. I don't think I'm accomplishing that real well at this point in time. Let me see. Yeah, so I could maybe grab that and begin moving it back. So it's good to have a 3/4 view, or even a couple, as you're doing this. So it looks like I'm going to have to do that with this part as well. That this whole edge, I think, comes out a little bit more. like that. So I'll work on that here in a bit. Let's go ahead and finish this up here. All right. Let's bring this back. I'm going to rotate it just a hair because we're going to need it to angle back a bit. Let me try this. I'm going to extrude this back like this. No, I think I want, once again, I think I want all of them. Extrude them all back. And then grab that one point right here. Down here and bring that up into line there. Yep. Okay. All right. So we've got the basic outline of the fenders and the door. We still need to do the trunk and the roof line to get kind of the general, all of the pieces laid out. But I think we've got a good start here. I think that's gonna work. We got a lot more to do, and I hope you can join me the next time when we continue working on the trunk and the roof and a little bit more of our Buick GSX here. So let me see if there are any questions real quick before we head out. Okay, somebody says that they're an accountant and they hate their job and they want to be a 3D artist. Well, I can tell you this, that years ago I was a computer security analyst and I hated my job, and now I'm doing this and I'm very happy. So anything is possible. So thank you very much for coming out and checking out what I'm doing here. Keep on working with Blender, and as we do this more, I hope to get a little bit better at it, and I hope to be able to answer more of your questions too. So thanks again, and take care.